Hello, welcome
Hello.
back to Aether. Paul and Satomi from sakaso.ca. Today, Canada Awakening and Healing Together. Part 2? Yeah, part 2 recap, because you did live.
I did it
actually.
live yesterday.
Yeah.
There was a demonstration yesterday at the 176th Street or
Surrey,
Pacific
BC.
Highway border crossing in Surrey, BC, and there was a demonstration against mandates, against all the mandates that we're facing these days. So I was
went there
Yeah.
and talked to some people.
Yeah. I had an amazing conversation with some folks that were there. I could not go as long with the broadcast as I was hoping because the weather was a little bit crazy. You'll notice in this video, we're going to do a recap today, and we'll kind of just comment a little bit on the content and what strikes us most from it.
I haven't actually watched it, so yeah, I'm gonna watch it together.
Yeah, so it's going to be a live reaction video. And as always, comments and questions are welcome. So please join in, and we'd love to hear from you in the conversation here.
We don't want this just one-sided biased video. So we want lots of different opinions and different
perspectives.
And we want to hear, we want to listen, and then we want to think together, right? And then see how what we can do and what could help us as a country, as a world. Right?
And what can help us all together, because we are all in this together, no matter what perspective we're coming from on this whole thing. And we're, again, just to make it clear, we are talking about the mandates and that kind of stuff that's going on. But there is kind of two very different perspectives that are going on. Just to, full disclosure, Satomi and I we're for freedom of choice and that kind of thing, and making your own health decisions about things rather than the government deciding what we should do with our bodies. But like Satomi's saying, we do want to hear from other folks, whether you agree with us or not, right? It's very important for us to have this conversation, because that's one of the biggest things, is that there hasn't been enough dialogue about this, right? Enough fair, both sides being able to present their perspective, their argument, their supporting evidence, that kind of stuff. That's one of the biggest things that are missing. And so that's what we're hoping to create here, is a bit of a dialogue, and bring everybody into the whole conversation and see where it goes. And in keeping with that, that's why we're going out to these events as well, and interviewing people and getting their perspective, right? Because I don't think these people have been able to be heard from enough, honestly.
Because like I've seen that's happening. It's not just I've heard, right? The people who is trying to share their opinion or perspective, some what do you call social media, their opinion get deleted.
Yes.
Right. Post.
Yes.
I've seen many times that deleted. Right. And then I don't know, their accounts shut down.
That happens too. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so.
I've seen that happen a lot of times.
Somebody's controlling
the conversation.
Not to happen. Right. And so. We want to create just the open conversation and not restricted to one side, because we don't have that place. Like even anywhere, it's just controlled. So we just want to see how it goes, and we really want conversation going, not just argument. You're wrong, we're right. Not those, not pointing finger at each other, but we want to listen and we want to question ourselves.
Yes.
And
I'm happy for people to question my opinions. I'm always open for that, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
that's
how I learn.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Contrary to public opinion. So let's dive in. We're going to start the video, and we'll pause it at different points and maybe jump ahead. Oh, we got maybe a comment here. So here we go. Keith Brown, thanks for sending in your comment. It was hard. It was hard to post the horse trample video to Facebook. I think they delay the posting before allowing it. Yeah, I mean that's another example, right? To me, honestly, I have to be I'm just going to voice my perspective on it. I think it's very troubling that the big tech companies are deciding what content is allowable. Yeah. And that was what you're talking about there, Keith Brown. I'll just recap for people if they're not aware. In Ottawa, there's been these very peaceful protests. Amazingly peaceful. There's been so much love. And
we were saying it because we were there. We wanted to go there to see what's happening. Like the government was saying, they're dangerous, violent, and terrorists and racist, right? Yeah. Okay, I cannot just speak without going there and experience, right? That's one of the main reasons we went there first time, because we want to witness what
we went to our local ones, not to Ottawa.
Not
we weren't. It's a bit far for us to go. Not exactly practical, but there are local ones that we're going to, and sorry, what you were saying.
Yeah, so that was one of the main reasons we want to see what is going on, right? And otherwise we cannot speak from our experience. I don't want to just take somebody's words. Oh yeah, that's what's happening. I don't do that. I don't want to do it. I would listen. Okay, he's saying that, but is that really true? I question myself. She's saying totally opposite thing. Oh, okay. Then I'll take it, but it's not going to become my opinion, my perspective, until I witness, I experience, right? I see with my own eyes, right? So that's why we went there, and the experience was totally different from what the government was. Not, I shouldn't say the government. Some government has different opinions, right? The leader is saying it's...
Well, the current party that's in power is government, right? That you're speaking of the other parties. They're not government, right? They're actually opposition in Canada, the way it works. It's a little bit different than the U.S. system that probably people are more used to. So yes, there are people who are high up in parties who they're the opposition that have voiced some objections to what the government position has been. But the government position, the ones who are setting policy, they have been saying things that are very dramatic, like saying that these are not good people and that these events should not be allowed. There's another comment here from Keith.
We haven't covered.
No, we haven't covered that part. The first one, but we'll sorry, Keith. We'll get to that second comment in just a second. Just bear with us. But so what I was saying is the government said these things that are very stark, very like if they're true, it's like they go, oh my God, I don't think people who are racist are people that I want to listen to, right? For example, or they're misogynist, right? Or that they have other very negative things that they're doing or saying. We went to these events and they were incredible, the local ones, and they were incredibly peaceful. They were incredibly happy, just people celebrating.
Yeah, they are like you can feel the love. Yeah. Right? They listen. They share their opinion and they listen to us, what we think, right? And it's not like they are putting their opinion into you and then insisting or anything. It's just they're I felt free to say anything, right? And then if that's a racist group, I wouldn't feel comfortable being there, right?
Yeah.
Being not white.
No way would I want to be there. I've always been actually kind of uncomfortable when it's too many white people together, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it just seems weird to me. I like a very cosmopolitan, very mixed crowd, and so I can just feel more comfortable there, and then I can relate people to people
but
a little easier.
anyway, so
it wasn't like that. It was a totally mixed crowd, and they have different perspectives, but there is a lot of there people were praying, people were singing the national anthem, people were celebrating their ability to express themselves openly, because actually nobody's been allowed to say anything out in public without being shamed and that kind of thing up until very recently, right? Up until the demonstration started.
Yeah.
So it was very healthy. So
and
let's go
then,
to the second.
do we talk about this?
Oh, the face. So it's his first one, right?
Yeah.
They're censoring, right?
Yeah.
The big tech is censoring. I think we.
Yeah.
I want to say anything more about that?
Yeah. I saw few videos that friends posted today. Was already gone. They posted this morning, and it's not available. I don't know what they posted, but several of them are gone. And I know what they are posting, right? Because they've been posting those things, and then they're gone. So
memes and stuff like that. You're thinking, right?
Probably could be videos, pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, I do want to say a little bit more about this. Keith, you brought up a really, really excellent point here. On this particular video you're referring to, what happened was that there's been these demonstrations, been very peaceful in Ottawa. And now the government has taken a radical stance against them and said, you can't be here. It's actually illegal to be here, unlawful. And I don't get that. We're supposed to be a free country where you're supposed to be allowed to demonstrate. That's number one. I don't get what the government's position is. I don't get the justification. There seems to be no underlying reasoning that supports that position. It's simply they don't want to hear them. It sounds like that to me. That's what it sounds like. Then what happened was recently the police in riot gear and all that kind of stuff have been sweeping the streets, pushing people out. They've been using people on horseback, and they've just been shoving the protesters out, right, and grabbing them, and sometimes violently. And I've seen them drag people in between, like behind the lines for quite a ways, and then they're spraying them and beating them. Honestly, that is
sad.
That's unacceptable, and these people are not fighting back.
They can.
The demonstrators are not fighting back in any way. They're simply being peaceful and asking the police to listen and simply asking for a voice. And what he's referring to here is a woman who was trying to speak to the police line, the line of police there, and she was just speaking peacefully, saying some things, and then they brought in the guys on horseback, and they sorry, they came,
just like that.
Yeah. They came in from the side in front, and they cut in front between the police line and the demonstrator line, and they invaded into the space of the demonstrators, and with the horses on horseback. And that woman was right there. She's kind of older.
Yeah, I don't know, 60, in her 60s.
Yeah, and she looks about that age. Just
in a walker.
In a walker.
Yeah.
A sweet lady, just in a walker, and they shoved her over, and she fell to the ground. It looked really violent. We heard later that she wasn't injured in any serious way.
Some shoulder injury or something, maybe, but...
So that's a bit of a miracle, but anyway. So that video, that's a real event. That simply happened. So why is it that Keith's experiencing that it's difficult to post this video onto Facebook? It's simply a recording of a real event, period. So why is it that Facebook would not want a real event to be posted? Simply a video of a real event that occurred.
So the key is we were talking about it, but why?
Yeah.
We want to think why. Ask why.
Ask why.
Instead of just observing, oh,
Yeah.
this happened and that happened, but why this is happening, right? Why I'm getting blocked to post the video. What's the reason behind that, right? Once we start to question, then lots of things are like, okay, I want to ask why there too, why there, why there. There's lots of.
Well, that's healthy. That's the way it should be. We should be asking, all of us throughout our whole lives should be asking why, right? So Keith's got a third question. This is awesome. Let's go to the second question. I think we kind of addressed that first one. So I posted instead to line in Japanese to hide from the censors. That is an option. I think that's probably a good idea, Keith. Good thinking there. It could be a delay to protect personal. I'm not sure. So
privacy,
right? Yeah. So you got another note here for that's privacy. So protect privacy. Okay, maybe, but I see news all the time, all my whole life, of crowds and things like that, and police and action and all that kind of stuff, and like rioters or like you see, or just like arrests or something like that, right? So privacy, maybe, okay, fair enough. I appreciate that comment. So let's leave that out there as a maybe and give them as much credit as we can.
Yeah.
So,
so you wanna
switch to the video?
Sure.
Thank you very much for the comments, Keith. Keep them coming.
Sending,
and everybody else in the viewers here, please keep sharing. I'm going to your comments. I'm going to take down that banner. That's going to be in the way. And then I'm going to go and share. Yeah, I'll switch that on in a second. So this is the video I took yesterday on site at the border crossing. And let me hit play here. Here we go.
Yes, watching from the start.
I have to apologize for the quality of the video and audio. It was crazy.
Welcome back to Sakuso. Welcome back to Aether. Today is February 19th. And we're here at the Surrey border crossing in BC. And
if you guys can't hear,
people are protesting.
Please let us know.
Against all the mandates. And we're going to keep going with part 2 of what we started last week. It's just me today. So Tommy can't join today. There's so many, it's amazing what's going on here. You can tell it's a little bit loud. It's pretty amazing, actually. There's so many people here who are so dedicated and believe in what they believe. We're all looking to create healing, right? We're all looking to heal together. More cowbell. That's what we need, more cowbell. That's awesome. So, they're all trying to create healing as a society, and for each one of us individually, because what they feel is to be able to just be natural, just be themselves, be out and about, and see their friends, go to work, just live their lives without all these restrictions, without all these impositions on our lives, so we can actually just be human. Because there's so many people who are suffering from, depression, from anxiety, from all this stuff, and it's really hurting everybody. So it's really beautiful what we see in terms of people standing up and expressing a different view than what we hear from, media and government, stuff like that. And they all have a different angle on it, right? They're all here for their own reasons. So I am going to start to wander around here, interview some people, and see what it is that's bringing them. I'm working on this phone here, holding an umbrella. I don't know if I can do it all. Let's see what happens.
Let's skip to the interview.
Try to turn this phone around. This is where I'm missing the Tony. Uh-oh.
always just looking for a spot for there you go.
in your life?
Oh man, everything. Obviously, going out, having a social life, work obviously is number one. Work is number one. Right? Work, travel, all the things that provide for my family is pretty much sports. I was forced to get the vaccine without. I didn't want to get it. Obviously, it's not. I feel like my immunity would have been fine, or
Your health would have been
my
fine.
health would have been fine.
So
I don't have
he
any
said-
health issues.
Yeah, you're
He said he got forced
I'm not against
to
that.
get vaccine.
I'm just against being told what to do. Right? That's the
Yeah.
number one thing.
Yeah.
Somebody telling you what's good for my body when I already know.
Somebody telling you what's good for your health,
Exactly.
other than your doctor.
Well, even my doctor was telling me, hey, you should get the vaccine, but how do you know? Like, that's not up to you, that's up to me, whether I want to get it or not, whether I want to be vaccinated or not, that's my choice.
Well, the doctor traditionally would give you a recommendation, and then you would make the decision.
That's right.
Right?
Make my own
You
decision.
decide if you're going to fill out that prescription or not.
Exactly right.
It's up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No one wants to be told that is it. And then once they put the mandates down and like you can't travel, you can't work unless you have to be vaccinated, all those things, you put you in a corner. And you either accept it or you fight for like everybody else here is doing it. I mean,
Right.
most people, I'm telling you, 99% of the people that I know, the only reason they got vaccinated was because they had to work and because they were forced to. All my friends, all the people that I know, most of them, they were saying, I gotta do it. It's either that or I can travel, right? Or I don't work, or I don't survive.
That doesn't seem right to me. Yeah.
So I'm just going to comment here. I mean, this guy I was able to interview. He was amazing, actually. The insight that he was sharing, and what he was saying there is that he was forced to get vaccinated in order to keep working. So, when has this ever happened before in our country and in the world? When has it been that in order to keep working, you have to be vaccinated? That, to me, that like people talk about that being a choice. You can say, oh, well, it's not taking away his choice. He's still free. He can go work somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But the other places are doing pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty broad based. Yes, maybe there are some places, there's a few places that you don't need to, but that means, first of all, a job change, perhaps a career change.
Mm-hmm.
When has that ever been easy?
Mm-hmm.
Those things, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty massive imposition on somebody.
And then like a BC,
If it's even available,
yeah,
right?
they added the mandates for other career, right?
Mhm.
So okay, first it's just doctors and nurses. Now it's a little more, and then it just, if it's little by little bit, people accept, right? And a little more people, and a little more people, and it's going to be next time it's going to be all restaurant servers, and it's going to be some where is it? And it is at BC. They're saying that all the teachers, school district, it's going to be mandated.
So step by step, it's more and more.
And then
In other words, the goalposts keep moving.
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So we agree. Maybe people don't object so much if maybe frontline health workers. Okay, maybe there's some argument there. Maybe.
And
but
once
then
once they get
moves to the
used
next-
to the idea, they move that.
move it to
Yeah.
another group of people and
Yeah.
another group of people. And one thing that we've seen for sure is that there's a major divide between white collar jobs, office workers, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of that, and blue collar workers. This fellow happens to be a blue collar worker. He's in construction. So the people who have worked with laptops they had another option in many cases, which is to work from home, right? So there's a little less pressure on getting vaccinated for those folks. The people who are out and about though and working in person on the job site, they were given very little option, if any. Pretty much across the board, they had to get it, right? How much justice is there in that? I have to ask, right? We want to live in a just and fair society. Why is it that one group of people is being treated one way, another, and putting much more burden on them than others? I can't sign on to that.
Yeah, and mandates. It's not a rule. It's not the law that you have to do. You still have a choice to not to do it, right? And but there are like businesses or any places you go, they are following the mandates, and then they're switching the words. I see it that masks are required, vaccine passes are required. Required and mandates, it's different. Mandate is what the one who's offering a service or the business or whatever ask the people to do it, and then people still have a choice to say no. That's the mandate, right? And now the businesses are saying it's required. The change in the words.
It keeps changing bit by bit.
Yeah.
The goalposts have been moving through this whole phenomena, right? They start out with something small that seems more reasonable, and then it extends and extends and extends and extends. And now there doesn't seem to be any end to the point where all these restrictions come in. Let's go to another comment.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the comments, everyone.
Yeah. So first memory here. Thanks guys for sending your question here. So thank you so much for the work you guys are doing. This is wartime, and it's admirable that so many people have remained in their hearts and peaceful. Thank you very much, you guys.
You.
That's amazing.
I'm just gonna warn you, this is I'm very emotional right now. And I knew before we start, I might cry, and then you guys almost pushing me to cry. I'm trying to be calm, and but you might see my tears today.
We're all struggling with the emotions with this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's very tough, and you're as an empath. There's so many empathic people out there that are having a rough time with this, and our heart goes out to them. If you have trouble with that, please reach out to us. We do have some things that we can offer as techniques to help you through it. It takes great restraint to do that in the face of violence and asymmetrical force. So in other words, I think you're referring to remaining, so the demonstrators, I mean, you're just seeing on the screen a minute ago, those people are celebrating and staying in a place of peace. There's no bricks being thrown at windows. No. There's no fires being started. There's no cars being turned over. There's
only by police.
Except for the police.
Violence. I don't know. We mentioned this one, like Ottawa police. Up till now, I don't know what they're saying right now, but up till now, like last week, they were saying crime rate reduced by 90%, 90%.
90%
since the protest, started.
In
right?
Ottawa,
And 90%. When did that happen in the history?
Well, people were seeing. I saw a bunch of comments about that. That Ottawa, where the demonstrators were, had never ever been so peaceful and crime-free and safe before. There are people who are not involved in the demonstrations who felt completely safe down in that area when they hadn't previously.
Yeah,
they could go there any 24/7 and feel completely safe and walk around. And I totally agree with your comments.
Then this emergency measure act happened by the prime minister, and then it changed and it's gotten violent.
Not by the demonstrators again.
No.
Again,
by
even though the prime minister has kept ramping up the rhetoric and saying things that are really condemning and also not in keeping with the facts, that the demonstrators have still remained in a place where they're demonstrating peacefully and
it's actually amazing.
not
it's
fighting.
Just,
They're not fighting.
It's like I'm riding like a emotional roller coaster every day, seeing through social media, and pretty disheartening. Is that the word?
Yes.
Videos that police getting so violent and attacking, spraying people, and
Beating them.
beating, and like you were saying, dragging someone out of somewhere and then beating like 5-6 guys on top of one guy, right? And then I saw some video, police are breaking into somebody's truck.
Well, they were stealing their gas, they were stealing their firewood. So it was actually plain as day for anybody to see. Right out in the open, the police were ordered, and they carried out the orders again and again to steal other people's property. So the demonstrators, they would take their gas, they would take their firewood. So they had like those drums set up right in the downtown area with fires in them, so that people could stand around in a safe way and have a place to be a little bit warmer outside.
Yeah,
right?
like -20,
Yeah.
-30. What is it in Fahrenheit? I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
minus something.
Yeah. So we've got some other comments here.
Yeah.
Let's go to these. Thank you very much, you guys, for sending your comments. Keep them coming. If we need to, we'll go long on this broadcast. I hope you can stick around for that. That would be awesome, because there is a lot of content here we can share.
If you have to choose either keep working or for living or getting vaccinated, there's no freedom. Yeah. That's what we think, but
that's our opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, we would agree with that 100%. I don't understand why people would dismiss a situation like that as they still have a choice and they still have freedom. I actually spoke to a police officer
and
on
that's
site,
what she was saying.
and she said
You still
exactly
have a choice, right?
the opposite of the comment here. So she said, but they still have a choice. They can go get another job. Not everyone is so lucky. Not everyone has the opportunity to just hop from one job to another and have it available to hop to, right? In all this chaos that's going on, the difficulty in the economy, there's so many people that job is what they're hanging on to, and that's all they have, right? And the next job, like we're saying, has the same restrictions. So I couldn't agree more. Let's go to the next question here. Next comment. People in Ottawa are saying that it's very peaceful until the full armed police came into the city. That yes, 100%. That's absolutely accurate.
And yeah, I was saying like a roller coaster from watching all the videos. I want to watch raw footage one, right? Not edited script, right? And those big media, they edit and just show one part, and the script they just do that. But I don't watch those ones. That's not valuable. And so like I've seen so many, it's really disheartening videos. But you know what? At the end of that day in Ottawa, all people who got threatened by police, they are still there, and I'm gonna cry, still celebrating and still keeping peace and dancing to the music, and it's just amazing. And they know they're not gonna leave. They know they can't leave. If they do that, what's gonna happen? That's everything. Already everything is in their hand, right? They can freeze everybody's account, right? people's bank account.
So we heard about that as well. The people who contributed to, let's say, Give, Send, Go, or to GoFundMe, the authorities, they didn't just shut down those accounts on those platforms, right, and then refund money to people. That's not where they stopped. They actually went to every single person.
Yeah, individuals.
Individual people who would I don't know what the amount was that the fellow we know he contributed, but maybe it was $20 or something like that, or $50 or something. He's not a rich guy. He's just an ordinary guy. It probably wasn't a big amount of money. He contributed some money. His bank account was frozen.
Mm-hmm.
His bank,
his personal bank account.
He contributed to a online crowdfunding platform, and that was for a peaceful demonstration, and his bank account was then frozen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other guy was saying his bank account and his credit cards are canceled.
That was another fellow.
How are they supposed to feed themselves and get gas to go to work? They just it's insane. And then some people who hate those protesters, they might be saying, yeah, they deserve it, right? But you know what? To me, it says that they have 100% control and they can do anything they want, whatever they want, whenever they want, right? They're targeting,
they being the government.
Yeah, they're targeting protesters right now, but they just proved that we kind of knew already, but they proved that they can do it and whenever they want.
Mm-hmm.
No legal reason. So, and right now it's just protesters, but who's next?
Yeah.
Right.
To be 100% fair, give you as much information as we can about these situations. The fellow that we know personally who had his bank account frozen, he was able to get it unfrozen. But I mean, by going down to the bank, he went through a bunch of stuff to get it like that. But honestly, I don't understand how the government has the right to go into someone's personal finances when they simply are contributing to a peaceful thing. I mean, maybe there's some justification if it was like a terrorist organization, right? So maybe you can make that like, you know, if it is a real terrorist organization, right, doing really awful things, maybe you can make that argument that is a reasonable thing to do. But in this case,
there's so many other ones, like, right? There's so many other things that happening.
We can't talk about it all. It's so much.
Like the bad, who's doing bad things, right? And hurting people, and go freeze those people's bank account.
Yeah, right? Spend some time on those folks, not on people who are demonstrating.
Human trafficking. Yeah. Am I allowed to say this? But
that happens.
It's
awful.
Go there. I know we are not keeping balance here. We're more going to one side, but we're just gonna,
Well, it's a little bit hard to provide the supporting argument on the other side. The only way I can do it is if I simply refer to the media stories, but the media stories are not based on actual events, to say that, the mainstream media, right? So the mainstream media don't see any connection between what's really going on and what they're saying. I'll just say that. Maybe we can go into that more in a future episode. I don't know, but there have been people that are local that are really very big names in the media have actually come out recently and have quit. Right? We can focus on that. We're getting sidetracked. I want to come back. I want to come back to the fellow I interviewed here. Yeah. Kazue, thank you for your comment. I'm going to go to your next one here. Lots of police officers who have hearts have quit or left because they know what's going on. I think that is accurate.
Yeah.
But we don't hear about it so much, right?
Not so much, and hopefully the group becomes big, so
And vocal.
and
I
then
hope they get a voice.
they stand. I seen few videos and
Yes.
police officers
Yeah.
talking to other police officers and begging all the officers to stand up and
The fellow officers.
yeah, and but so I've seen it. So I'm not saying all the police officers in it, but we still haven't seen enough to
Not enough yet. We need
turn.
you guys. All that evil needs to win is for good men to do nothing. That's the truth of it.
And some are actually this is pretty sick too. Some are enjoying this power, abusing their power. I've seen police officers texts. So somebody sneaked this out, leaked it out.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, texting back and forth and enjoying this power that they're using against those people. But so it's pretty sick.
We're not going to spend time on that one.
No.
That's pretty dark.
Yeah.
So Keith, because the government owns the money and banks, well, they certainly. What I can certainly say is that in Canada, the government has obviously a lot of influence. They have a lot of connections, and I would say that the banks are probably have the same interests as the government. I'll put it that way. The government doesn't own the banks. They print the money. They don't own the banks in Canada. But I would say that their interests are probably aligned. And who knows what they talk about behind the scenes.
So you want to go
So
back to
yeah, let's go back to the video. Thank you guys for your comments. Keep them coming. We'll keep bouncing back and forth here. So we're going to show a little bit more of the video that I took yesterday. I got to turn off this comment, so otherwise it's going to show on screen, I think. And that banner. Sorry, I'm dancing around technology here. This is a little bit new. And go to here and hit play. Okay, here we go.
It's a communist mindset, right? It's a mindset of someone who's
this caption.
living in Canada or living somewhere else.
Just seems strange in Canada.
I never thought that a country like this would put those enforce something like that on people.
Yeah, I can only agree with you. And it's very, to me as a Canadian growing up here, this is not the way I would think that my country would be, right? I mean, it's never been like that. And the reason that they tell us is that it's for our safety, right? How does that strike you? Can I ask?
Well, how do you know what's safe? I don't know what's safe for other people. Especially because they don't understand. For me, especially because you don't understand what the state is all about. Right from the get-go, the vaccine was the number one thing. And to me, that's weird. Right? That's weird for them to say, hey, I know what's safe for you. I know what you should do for your body. I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you're going through, and what your underlying issues are, right? Yeah, but I know what's best for you. How does anybody know that, right? My doctor may know, but even him, right, doesn't know what the effects of the vaccine are going to be later on down the road, later on in his life. See, people are getting, we're having all these heart problems and stuff, right? Because of the vaccine.
I have heard about that.
Yeah.
I have heard that we're starting to get reports of people suffering certain health complications as a result of it. Actually, we're not starting to. Those reports have been coming in from the beginning. And we don't hear a lot about them. But what I mean is there's been a scientific study recently that has looked into heart damage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, you know, we find out that the vaccine is only really good for you either for a certain type of COVID or for certain variants. And it's only good for about 6 months.
Right.
So what is the point? What are we doing? Right?
I totally agree with you on that point too, because it seems a little bit strange.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna give him a lot of credit here,
Yeah.
because but it still does seem strange that a vaccine will only be working for a short period of time.
6 months out of your body, but the effects of the vaccine are on the mRNA vaccine could be prolonged for years to come. So here the cheese isn't with the squeeze. So why don't we drop that immediately? And why aren't we saying, hey, this isn't the right way to go? Right? Let's talk about helping people to be healthier. No one this whole time has ever touched about people who are obese, maybe changing your diet, maybe changing your vitamins you take, all these things that are actually going to help people who are, who get sick, or people who are obese, who are underlying issues, all those things.
Right.
So why are we talking about making the world a healthier place?
Kind of basically the booster
Changing boosting immunity some other way.
Right.
Just straight vaccine. 0 to 100. Like straight vaccine. Let's not talk about anything else. Let's talk about keeping people inside, closing gyms, keeping
So we're going to pause here for a second. He covered some very good ground. There's a comment here. Maybe we'll go to that and see what we got here, and we'll circle back. So Keith, not to say that justifies the freeze of accounts, but makes it possible. So coming back to what we were saying earlier, I think that's a very reasonable additional comment you have there, Keith. But let's talk about what the video I was interviewing the fellow here. So he's saying something very similar there for a while. What we focused on was last week, right? Which is that there's been a tremendous amount of focus on the reason for doing this is for safety, right? So the trade-off here is between freedom and safety. That's the argument we've been getting, right? You can't have necessarily both, right? And I have to wonder if that's a straw man argument. In other words, is that a false argument? Is that a false dichotomy? In other words, is it really either or is there a way that we can handle this whole situation where we maintain our freedom and our health? Is that possible? And I have to argue that the argument for vaccines and the approach that's been taken so far as being the answer to keep us safe, and the masks as well as the answer to keep us safe. There's been I don't see honestly convincing science on that in that regard. I have looked into it, and I see serious problems with that science. You don't have to believe me. Please do your own research. But I am a scientist. I have a PhD in biology, and I can read these papers and understand them, and I can analyze them and see where the weaknesses are. And I see glaring weaknesses. I can drive a truck through the stuff. The holes are so big sometimes. So that's kind of an ironic statement. I didn't mean that. Way to go, truckers, driving those trucks there. So what I'm trying to say is that, and then also in addition, the science that points out that there are people being harmed by these vaccines, greatly harmed. The science that points out the masks are not effective is very solid. There's published papers that are out there, and there are also even published papers by the I think it was New England Journal of Medicine. I think this recent one that showed that mandates, that all these mandates and restrictions on people have done all the lockdown. Anything you can categorize as part of lockdown, that's a very broad. It's similar to anything to do with mandates. Basically, they had almost absolutely no help whatsoever. The improvement, it was so tiny that the negative effects of having a lockdown enormously overwhelm it. It's like, I mean, we're talking about, first of all, economic catastrophe. So many businesses have been hurt, right? Especially small business, like big businesses have actually seen a boom. They've been, because the people can't shop at their little store, so they go to the big ones. They go to Amazon because or Amazon because they can just stay at home, right, and have it delivered. So those big businesses up, all the small business is way down. And how good is that for us as a community, as a country, as a planet, and the planet in general? We're supposed to have a system that relies on free market capitalism, on us having the initiative to go out there and invest our lives and make a business out of create our own businesses, right? That has been hurt tremendously. That's just one thing. That's economically. Then also, the evidence now shows that people have been tremendously hurt. I mean, you don't need a scientific paper for this. When you turn on the radio, 1 out of 10 ads, basically, pretty much, maybe that's a little bit more than the reality, but it seems like it, are for counseling.
Because mental health.
Because mental health has gone through the basement. And why? Because people are depressed and anxious. Why? Well, duh. This is a catastrophe for mental health. And what happens when you have a negative effect on mental health is you then also have a negative effect on your immune system and on your physical health, right? And then, in addition to that, that compounds other things like the fentanyl crisis, right? People are overdosing like it's such a tragedy, right? And people are also just straight up committing suicide. There's an epidemic of suicide out there. Those lockdowns are categorically harmful to society. And the improvement on reducing COVID, if you believe the numbers, if the numbers are reliable out there, I would argue otherwise, there was a tiny increase. If you accept the number, the tiny improvement, there's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse. I don't get it. The science does not support all these mandates. I don't get it.
Yeah, and like
that's just
and then
me.
It's like government is saying there's only one solution, right? Only one. When did it happen? Like there's only one solution, like only treatment. They just put that through that out of the window. There's nothing.
There's nothing.
Right? Nothing but you have to get this.
Vaccine is the only answer.
That's the only one.
You can't have a medication like a pill of any kind that could help.
Yeah,
that's the story.
Yeah.
That's the story, right? That's what we've heard. And people who have offered pills, medications, treatments of various kinds, there's more, not just pills, those pills have been attacked, and they have also been taken off the market.
Yeah.
They've been made unavailable. So what is going? What?
And then those
what?
Yeah, those doctors trying to share what they think, right? Doctors question who questions and this is not right, and then they get silenced and they lose jobs. Like if there are 2 doctors, right? There's 2 doctors who has same education and same experience, same skills. I would follow the doctor who would risk his job to share, and speak up and question the science or question everybody else's, and then trying to share the truth, not the one
as he sees it.
Yeah,
in that case, so what you're saying is, if there's 2 doctors who are voicing an opinion, one doctor is
finished it yet.
I'm sorry, one doctor is saying that it's like the government says, the other doctor says not, and he's risking his job.
So I would listen to the doctor who would risk his job but wants to share the truth. not the one who would do anything to keep the job,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And the one who is out there right now who has jobs, which one are they, right?
Right. That's a good
So,
question.
so,
Hmm.
and then I've seen lots of doctors speaking, right? Just selfieing and then saying, I lost my job and my license is suspended, and then they're saying this is dangerous, right? But why it's not open table, and why they cannot just sit at the same table and then share those data and then examine and analyze, and but they're pushed out.
Hmm.
So why again? Why?
So yeah, why has there been no conversation?
Mhm.
Why is there no debate? Why is there no ongoing open, like you're saying, open table,
Yeah.
round table conversation where experts on both sides of the equation walk
Mhm.
through the science for
Mhm.
us and explain it to us, and then debate it, right?
Mhm.
Why is it that
It's why only one? This is the one. This
Yeah.
is the one for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we as a population, are we too dumb to understand the science? Is that why the government is taking care of us and providing the answer to us because we're too dumb? Is that why?
That's what they want to think.
Maybe. Or maybe they've got some good reason, but it's never explained. What is the good reason?
Mm-hmm.
What we get instead is like opposing views. That's just rumor or no, sorry, that's misinformation is the label.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that my understanding is that anybody who's brought up a view that differs from what the government wants us to
That's
take in
yeah.
is
As
considered
a science
misinformation.
doctor, if something doesn't add up, or if someone has different opinion and
Mhm.
different data, they should look into it
Mhm.
and make sure that is not right.
Mhm.
Or okay, so this this it's safe. There's a little bump. What's this? We want to look into that little bump, right, and make sure that was some measuring mistake, so it's still safe.
Mhm.
Then we understand, but
Mhm.
seems like they're just ignoring those little bumps,
Mhm.
right? And that's nothing, and that's seems like to me that's what's happening, and there's not. I don't think it's just a little bumps here and there. The bumps are getting bigger.
So we're sharing our observations here, and we have a certain perspective on it. Again, it is our perspective.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Yeah.
We don't have 100% of the information in front of us.
But yeah, we are just
Right.
asking why,
Why,
and
yeah.
then there's no answer
No answer.
to
Just
our whys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Answer us,
mhm.
show us,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
So Kazue has another comment here.
Mhm.
The research showed that the restrictions reduced only 2% of death rate, but how much did it destroy our regular life and businesses? That's exactly right. Was what we were referring to, Kazue. It was actually, I think it was 0.2%. That's my recollection, but maybe I'm remembering wrong. And maybe it depends on what data you're including with that in the pool.
And then what did negative consequences cause the death?
Well, the negative consequences are obvious.
Yeah.
They're obvious. They're obvious to anybody. You don't need to be a scientist to see what's happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so let's go back to the video. And so what he was saying in the last little bit was very much in keeping with our last week video, where where we were talking about how does the government know what's good for us? Like each one of us, we all have different medical conditions. We all have, but and he is saying also, why don't they talk more about boosting your immunity, like taking this supplement, right? I haven't seen one single comment from the government anywhere that says this supplement can help you out. Take
Yeah.
vitamin C, right? I don't see that, but maybe I'm not watching the right
I haven't
broadcast.
seen it. Like
Maybe
a,
that's just me
that-
missing that.
I only hear it's just take vaccine,
But take your vaccine.
nothing else from
Mhm.
government.
Wear your mask.
Fast food places open instead of anything else. Other businesses, it's the wrong business. Wendy's, all these fast food places, gyms were closed, places that are gonna make you healthier, where you're gonna go and you're gonna boost your immune system naturally and all your endorphins and all that stuff, right? So to me, this doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. And it's not just to me, but to a lot of people, it doesn't make sense. Right? The majority of people are starting to open up their eyes. To me, that's it's nuts. It's nuts.
I have to agree that there's a lot about this whole thing that if you sit down and examine the things that we're told,
Yes.
they don't seem to add up,
No.
right? Like, and the weird thing is that there isn't like what have you seen a discussion about this?
This is what we're just saying.
Nationally?
Yeah.
Like some kind of open forum, some kind of expert panel on both sides of the issue.
Not at all. It's either one or the other. It's either one. It's just straight do this or else. Right? It's
Okay.
It's
So you haven't seen any discussion.
no, I haven't. There's no open table. There's no bouncing ideas of each other. There's no scientific. There's no two people who are opposite but are experts going and discussing these things, which is what science is supposed to be.
Right.
And I haven't seen any of that.
Well, we do hear. I do hope you guys can hear that stuff. But I do hear a lot about the phrase "follow the science," right? How does that strike you?
Oh man, like it strikes me as convenient to a lot of people. All the science is convenient. It's a convenient thing to say. Like I'm right and you're wrong. Follow my science. Follow what I know. And that's not the way. Like if you actually are following the science, then you would understand that this isn't going to be cured by a vaccine. Right? So to me, it doesn't make any sense. It strikes me as weird and odd and it's very one-sided.
Well, I have not seen a scientific debate,
No.
right, or a conversation in that sense, because it's pretty rare that you have a situation where the science only supports one thing, one side. That's right? And this is a complex medical thing, right? And as you said, different people might kind of respond differently depending on their initial health condition, how it's going to go, right? Yeah. I'm making you stand here in the rain. I really appreciate this so much. It's awesome. Do you want to stand underneath somewhere or something?
No, it's okay. I'm good.
Okay.
We're in it, man.
We're in it. Yeah, you gotta love it. It is downpouring here and it's sleet. It's a little crazy. Hold on here. This is not good.
Let's try skipping ahead here, folks.
Okay, this is a little better.
I don't remember what we were talking about when.
That's awesome. So you were saying about
His kids were getting wet. Well, no, they were actually okay.
As soon as we give the government a little bit of power, which is the power for them to dictate when we should take the vaccines and what we should do with our bodies and all that, all those things, they'll never give it back. So the more we do, the more they'll take. They need to stand up. They need to actually stand up against for what they believe, for what is right. What to show that they got what they'll do. This whole trucker movement, all these things, like it's a bit of a revolution that needed to happen. It needs to be done now. It's to be argued. Then we just got to become a part of what the government tells us to do, and they're just going to be telling us what to do. They're telling us how to live our lives. They're telling us what's best for our bodies. It's a must. Right? It's a revolution that needs to happen.
So I'm going to pause it there. because I just want to, I'm going to say something quickly here. Historically, it's actually proven that governments, when they get power, they tend to not relinquish it. I'm not sure that it's rare. Any substantial power, any substantial gain of power the government gains, they don't give it back, and to the people, they tend to keep it, right? So this is a major shift in government power, and government say so without, as we feel, adequate explanation. It's simply, justified on the basis of be safe and follow the science, right? And as we pointed out earlier, the science says other things. So, and you could argue that it is not safe. I would tend to agree with that based on looking at the science, that it is not safe. So I don't get the government's position. I don't understand it. If they can explain it to me being a dummy, and show me how I'm clearly out of line, I would appreciate that. Yeah, I'd appreciate, and then maybe I'd line up and go along with this whole thing. But I don't get that so far. And what he's saying is that, so he was just saying about the people standing up, right? And he's also saying that if you give them this much, then they'll ask for more, right? More and more power. So I've heard the counter argument a lot in this whole. I speak with other people about this who are on the other side of the conversation, and they say that our concerns about freedom, it's just the slippery slope argument, and that they don't buy it. In other words, if you give an inch, the government will take a mile, right, over time. That's what's happened already. I mean, I'm not sure I get that being an argument against the position that we're taking, because it's blatantly clear that the government they have asked for an inch at early stages. We were saying earlier about the goalposts moving. That's what I'm referring to here. The goalposts keep shifting, right? So all they asked for at the beginning was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That was the saying, right? Just stay home, relax, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That was the lockdown mandate at the time. We're 2 years into this, and there's no end in sight. No end at all. And they can impose at any time. Let's say there's another variant that comes along, they can impose any kind of measure at this point that they see fit, without, to us, adequate explanation, and do it for as long as they want. So the argument that this is a slippery slope, and that our concerns about freedom, right? We have concerns about personal freedom. Sure, yes. And if they're not justified, then I'd like to hear the counter argument that is solid to me, because I haven't heard it yet. To say that this is just slippery slope and therefore it's not a real argument, right? That we're just worried about this much, right? We're worried about them doing this much when they're only asking for this much. What they're asking for is actually this. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Anyway, what do you want to do here? We're already over an hour. This has gone kind of its own direction.
We can wrap up soon.
Yeah.
So if we don't have to share the whole thing.
There's a lot of great things that he says in this video. We may come back to this video and share more and continue this conversation. But we're also going to go out to other events and film other things. It was amazing that he was able to share with us so many of his thoughts. They were it's amazing that people are so well informed. He was very well informed and very well spoken, and that's what I see at these events so often, is people being so well informed and so reasonable and so much they're staying so centered and in their hearts throughout this whole thing. I mean, you could see the guy, he wasn't like a crazed madman, right, looking for looking to create damage. He's just speaking intelligently about the situation. So So it's just we are really in a difficult time as a country, as a world, right? And then yes, we are in the middle of it. We're not in Ottawa, so not the center, but still
pretty much, yeah, it's really, really painful, and everybody does feel pain. It doesn't matter where they stand, and this is not what we want, right? Nobody wants this happening, and some strange people might be laughing, but as a citizen, this is not right, and that's like a police. They are armed, and the protesters aren't. Are not.
Mhm.
Right, and then there are, with our eyes, as long as we see locally, they are peaceful and unarmed and against
Not armed. Sorry,
unarmed,
I'm rephrasing that just so people are very clear.
unarmed, right?
Yeah.
And then standing against police officers who dressed up like all black and then covered, right?
Mhm.
And then they can actually look at the protesters' eyes when they talk to police officers, right? Because they're hiding something, police officers hiding something, and they just
Well,
right?
they
they
cannot.
can't look at.
So what? If I understand you correctly, you're saying the police officers are dressed all in a very intimidating way. They're acting in an intimidating way.
Mhm.
However, they have a hard time looking directly at the protesters in the eyes
Yeah.
because they're feeling something,
Yeah,
maybe ashamed of what they're doing,
because it's
having second thoughts.
if they are proud of what they're doing and they are agreed, and they feel it's in their heart, they feel this is right,
Mhm.
and they should be able to look at their eyes,
Mhm.
protesters' eye.
Mhm.
I am doing this because I know this is right.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
that's a police officer would do,
Mhm.
right? They're looking like if I get pulled over, right, and then I'm getting let's say ticket. I speed it a little bit too. I went a little bit too fast, and then they come and they talk to me, and then I look at them. They look at me,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But those officers, they cannot even look at
The ones who are at the protests,
yeah,
at the demonstrations.
there are videos that just shows that police officers won't be able to look at their cameras and their eyes, right? So we know it's obvious, it's clear,
Mhm.
right? And but they are still on the other side and not joining protesters. So I don't know how long it's gonna last. I hope it doesn't last long. The longer it lasts, the bigger the damage that we get, and that's what I don't want to see.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to see any people getting hurt, injured.
Mhm.
And that's not a country I want to live in. But anyway,
So to sign off, I want to sign off with this. So things are not easy in the world right now. This is a turning point, I think, in history. I think that people so the government is coming down really hard right now on the peaceful protests in Canada. The government is using, no question, a very heavy hand, right? You cannot question that. And perhaps these protests won't be able to continue as in their current form. That would
that's
be
what
a tragedy.
they are trying, right?
The government seems to be trying, well, not seems to, they're obviously right from the start. They have been doing everything they can to silence the protesters, not listen to them, not meet with them, not recognize them, not even speak truthfully to what they're doing. It's crazy. And now they're using force to get them, to disperse them and to prevent any demonstrations from happening. So that to me is not a responsible government response. and it could be it could be in a sense tragic, and it could cause things to go in a direction that's more and more conflict oriented. I hope that's not true, but it could. But I know you feel the same way. I want to. The message I want to share with people is to keep heart. To if you have this perspective that we're sharing with you today, that something better can be done about this. We can do better than this as a society. This is not the best that we have to offer. From the way that the government is responding, they can do better, and we as a society can come together and do better as a society, as fellow citizens together, as equals, right? And when people have an opposing view, that we can be respectful, we can listen, we can.
I think all the protesters,
discuss.
they're willing to hear any opposed opinion, right?
That's been my experience as well. Yeah. And even if things take a downturn, right? If we're not able to demonstrate, the thing I would like people to know is that there's big things that would need to be adjusted in our society, from my perspective, in order to get things on track again. I think this has exposed some things that are not working the way they should. I'll just mention media coverage as one example, right? If we can't get, if media, the way the media's responded is not to challenge authority in this situation as it was meant to do. Media is designed to be the fifth estate. What that means is there's these different forms of different aspects of society, right? One of them is government, that kind of thing. The media is meant to act as an independent voice to and investigate to bring justice to the people. That's the way media is
just from
meant to work.
The eyes from the
ground,
ground,
to challenge
right?
authority.
Yeah, eyes from the ground, and then this guy is saying this, this guy is saying this. Media don't no script, and these commentators, but the newscasters, they just report what they see, right? But that's not happening. It's all scripted, all edited, and then it's working
from their point of view.
Yeah, but so anyway,
what I'm just trying to say is that the media is meant as one example is meant to act on behalf of the people, to investigate and challenge power. They're supposed to expose injustice, right? But the way they've behaved in this situation is on behalf of power, right? They've acted to promote the government position and to attack people who have a difference of opinion, which is the opposite of the correct functioning of media. And that is tragic. But that's what the situation has exposed, what we've gone through so far. And that is a tremendous, I think that is a benefit to society to see that that's the way it works. In the long run, that it's good and healthy for us to bring this stuff out into the open, so that we can do something to improve the situation, right? Yeah. So it's going to take a while, I believe, to get to the point where we can get into these areas of society the way it's working, and to make improvements. So setbacks, I think it's to be expected, right? I think I would have been very surprised, given the challenges that we're seeing, if the demonstrations in Ottawa and elsewhere in their current form would have been enough to create all the change that I think would be healthy for society, to fix everything. Setbacks, I think, is to be expected, but we feel in our hearts, in our intuition, Satomi is, incredibly intuitive. I have my own intuition as well. we feel as though there is a bright future. There is a beautiful outcome to all of this that we can rejoice in, and that keeping the faith is something that's important for us if things get really, if in dark times, I'll just say, in difficult times. So trust the universe, and we'll see and keep standing up for what you believe in, and to bring your heart into that,
like a huge, like a gigantic growth pain that we are going through as a universe, the whole earth, and it's not easy, and I just don't want to. I want this to become bigger pain, it to individual, right? Hurting individual. I don't want that. We can take pain together, right? But not hurting individuals. That's not right. And I don't really want that. And then I don't. They're just doing whatever it takes, and right now. And so, but I know, like every day, the more people are standing up. I don't know by how many, but I know it's every week that the group is getting bigger and bigger. So, but it's taking time, taking too long, and but we just have to keep going. We cannot back down right now. That's what I feel. And otherwise, we just gonna lose everything. We kind of, they already have everything in their hand, but we at least we can reveal it, and they can. I don't know. I don't really know, but they just. I don't believe that it's going to be like a perfect, peaceful world all of a sudden tomorrow or next week. It's going to take time, like you were saying. It's going to take time, but we want to take that big first step as soon as possible before people start getting hurt more. So that's.
So keep the faith. Stay in your hearts is all we can recommend. We do have techniques if you're having trouble with it that can help. And bless you for being open-minded. Thank you for listening, and we would love to have you back on because every week. This one here. I'm going to show something else on the screen. Yeah. So we'll see you next week on Aether, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and we'll continue this conversation. This is really big. We're healing together here. The society is seeing the wound now, and it's time to heal it. And we can do it. We know we can. We feel it in our hearts.
Yeah, we know we can.
Yeah.
But we need to do it together.
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Go in peace.